Hello everyone, this is Shrikante, and today we are going to be talking about the power of perception. Now, perception isn't just about what we see, it's about how we interpret what we hear, see, and experience. Now, two people can go through the same event and walk away with completely different understandings. Why? Because their perceptions are shaped by their beliefs, past experiences, emotions, and expectations. Now, this matters deeply in psychology because our perception becomes the lens through which we understand the reality, and that lens can either limit us or empower us. So, when we begin to question how accurate or helpful our perceptions are, we open the door to growth. Now, when we become less reactive, more reflective, and more capable of change. In this lesson, we will learn how perception forms, how it affects our behavior, and how we can shift our perspective to unlock greater personal growth and resilience. Because when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at often begin to change too. Now, this slide explores the powerful connection between truthfulness, perception, and trust, especially in our relationships. Now, let us start with truthfulness. When we communicate openly and honestly, we lay the foundation for trust. Trust doesn't just happen; it is built through consistent, truthful exchanges where both people feel safe to be seen and heard. Without the truth, even the strongest relationships begin to weaken. But truthfulness isn't only about being honest with others. It's also being honest with ourselves, and that's where perception comes in. Our perception can distort reality. We often see the world not as it is, but as we are through our past experiences, beliefs, and emotional filters. Now, these distortions can cause misunderstandings and conflict. But when we value truth, we are more likely to pause, question our assumptions, and also listen with intention. Recognizing this helps us move beyond bias. It pushes us towards greater emotional maturity, healthier communication, and deeper and more respectful connections with others. So ultimately, truthfulness isn't just a moral value; it's a psychological tool for connection, clarity, and personal growth. Now, I'd like to walk you through a story that offers one of the most practical lessons about emotional and psychological stability. Now, there is this one time I saw a video and the speaker tells us about a time when they were seasick while on a boat. Now, as the boat rocked with the waves, they became more and more physically uncomfortable. They were like completely dizzy, nauseous, and even completely off balance. But a key moment happened when they looked up and fixed their eyes on a still object on the horizon. Now, the single point of reference, something unmoving and grounded, helped their body regain a sense of balance, and their sickness began to fade. Now, let us translate that into everyday life. Life can feel a lot like that boat. Emotions rise and fall, situations constantly shift, and people come and go. But if we try to keep our balance by focusing on the chaos or by making decisions purely based on how we feel in the moment, we will always feel a little off. And that's what we call the emotional instability. It just means when our internal world is shaped by the external. But if, like in the story, we can focus on something still and grounded, like the truth, values, or reality as it is, we can regain the mental and emotional clarity. In psychology, we might call this a shift from reactive living to intentional living. Now, feelings are important and they give us information, but they aren't always accurate, like I mentioned in so many other videos. But if we build our identity, decisions, and emotions on emotion, we will constantly feel like we are drifting. Instead, when we anchor ourselves in truth, objective facts, core beliefs, or even long term values, we develop something much more valuable stability and growth. So the message here is simple yet powerful. So in moments of the uncertainty or emotional overwhelm, ask yourself this question: what is true? Now, find your horizon, and that's where your balance begins. Now, let us talk about the first person perspective. Now, when we talk about the first person perspective, we are referring to how much of us experiences the world from our own point of view. Now, this perspective allows us to connect deeply with our own feelings, thoughts, and experiences. By paying attention to ourselves this way, we can develop greater self awareness, and this is important because understanding our own emotions helps us grow personally and make better decisions. Now, second person perspective. Now, the second person perspective is all about stepping outside of ourselves and seeing things from another person's point of view. Now, this helps us build empathy, that is, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Now, when we practice this perspective, our relationships improve because we can better appreciate how others feel and why they think the way that they do. Now, this understanding is the key to is the key to communicating more effectively and resolving conflicts. Now, let's take a moment to think about how we experience the world, not just through our own eyes, but also through the lens of the others. Now, when we are in first person perspective, we are always focused on our own thoughts, emotions, and experiences, and that shapes our personal reality. And that's how we interpret what's happening around us based on our unique feelings and beliefs. It's like living in our own movie where we are the main character. But when we shift to the second person perspective, we are invited to see the world through someone else's eyes. Now, this means we listen more closely. We try to understand how they are feeling, and we care about what they are experiencing, and that's what we call empathy. Now, practicing both perspectives is powerful. Now, staying aware of our own emotions helps us grow. But by being able to truly understand someone else's, that's what deepens the relationships, helps us work better with others, and improves communication in every part of life. Now, let us look at the third person perspective. Now, this is when we step back from a situation and observe it as if we are almost like a outsider, like watching a scene unfold from above and watching characters in a movie. So, taking this view helps us gain objectivity. Now, this means we can look at a problem or a conversation without being swept up in our own emotions or someone else's. Now, we're able to see the bigger picture. For example, if two people are having a disagreement, using the third person perspective allows us to notice both sides more clearly without immediately taking one. It helps us ask, what is really happening over here? Or why might why might each person be reacting that way? Now, this kind of thinking is incredibly helpful, not just for resolving conflicts, but also developing stronger emotional intelligence and problem solving skills. Now, let us talk about reflection. Now, this means looking inward and taking time to really think how we perceive the world and why we react the way that we do. Now, the first part of this is understanding your own perceptions. Now, we believe we all have the personal biases, those automatic ways of thinking that comes from experiences, upbringing, or beliefs. Now, recognizing these biases is an important step in personal growth. When we become aware of how our own views might be shaping our judgments, we can start making more thoughtful, fair choices, especially when we are interacting with others. Now, it is important to practice adopting different kinds of perspectives. Now, this means intentionally shifting our viewpoint to consider how someone else might be thinking or feeling. Now, by doing this, we build empathy and our communication becomes clearer and more respectful. Now, this skill is essential not only in personal relationships but also in professional settings where teamwork and understanding are key. So reflection isn't just about like looking back, it's also becoming more mindful of how we think and interact moving forward. Now, let us turn our focus to something that plays a huge role in how we interact with others and manage ourselves: emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence, or like EQ, is all about the connection between the heart and the mind. It's our ability to recognize, understand, and also manage not only our own emotions but also the emotions of others. Now, why is this important? Because when we are emotionally intelligent, we respond instead of react. We can handle the stress better, resolve conflicts more peacefully, and build stronger relationships, whether it's with friends, family, classmates, or co-workers. Now, developing an emotional intelligence is really a life skill. It helps us grow as individuals by increasing our self awareness, building empathy, and improving communication. In short, when we understand both our hearts and minds, we become more thoughtful, compassionate, and effective in everything we do. Well, I hope this lesson gave you new ways to think about perspective, reflection, and emotional intelligence. Remember, how we view ourselves and others shape the way that we connect, grow, and communicate. Now, keep practicing empathy, stay curious, and always take time to reflect. Thank you for watching. Bye.